Welcome back, everyone, to the Breakdown Bros. I am back with my dear brother Josh. We are here with episode number 7, I believe. And as always, just quick reminder, all we would like you to do is subscribe to our channel. That would help us out a ton. We've hit an incredible milestone recently of 30 subscribers. Everyone, round of a hand. We've done a great job around here.
Let's go.
Well into the double digits now. Our next milestone probably like
50.
So
50's next one.
really excited for that. Got a great show today. We have ACC schedule reactions. We have Heisman reactions. Look at who's in the Heisman odds. React to that. And, of course, we have a bold take at the end of the show. Hopefully we have enough of these by the time the season starts that one of them's got to hit, right?
Surely one of them's got to
And then we can go back and look at the video and say, oh, I talked about this in February, and then look really cool even though we had 1 billion in February. So it's fine. This is the goal.
All right.
Here we go. We'll start out with ACC schedule reactions. I'll go first.
Easiest or hardest?
Easiest. Always easiest, I think. That's what we always do.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. The SMU Mustangs have an easy schedule to start out this year. They have drawn, not the short straw, the long straw, as you would. It really feels like they play maybe 1.5 game schedule. They play against the Virginia Cavaliers at home, and they play at Louisville away and Notre Dame away. So I think that hardest game is at Notre Dame away. By the way, not an ACC game. They also play at Louisville. Mm-hmm. I think that's difficult. And after the bye, home against Virginia.
Sure.
As I look at this, I think that game, SMU versus Virginia, is going to decide a lot of who goes to the ACC championship. So I think SMU has an easy path, and I think they will do great things this year. So let's look at the schedule. You start out at Florida State. They're a shell of their former selves. You get UC Davis at home. Who is that? You play at Louisville. I think this is one of their harder games for sure. Louisville, usually a pretty decent team. But so is SMU. Then you get Missouri State at home, Boston College at home. Basically sleepwalk through those games. Mm-hmm. You have a bye, maybe sleepwalk through that too. Hopefully not, though, because you get Virginia at home. Luckily, this is at home, so I think it's not that difficult of a game.
Mm-hmm.
As I'm looking at schedules, I think this SMU versus Virginia game in Week 7 is going to shape up to be like the game that puts teams into the ACC championship.
I would agree.
Unless Louisville is really in the mix, I think it's going to be between SMU, Virginia, to compete with Miami, of course. And I think that'll be the case. And then California at home. Then you have at Syracuse. Neither of those super daunting. You get Virginia Tech at home. We think Virginia Tech might be a good team.
We think.
But luckily, you get that game at home. You get Wake Forest at home, which really should be a win. And then, like we said earlier, you end the season at Notre Dame, then at Stanford. That game at Notre Dame, that's going to be really difficult. That's probably a loss. That's probably a lose. You're probably 8.5 point spread underneath, maybe 10, depending on how good Notre Dame's looking.
But as an SMU Mustang fan, you're not trying to get into the playoffs based off record alone. You're getting into this from the ACC championship.
Exactly. And if I had to look at the schedule and I had to guess how many wins they had, I would say, just based off the schedule in February, I would say 9. Maybe 10 wins, because I see them dropping a game to Notre Dame and then one to either Louisville or Virginia.
Maybe VTech.
Exactly, maybe VTech. But then also, they could pick up both those games. And
For sure. That is definitely not a guaranteed loss.
So I would say, if I had to guess, I would say right at around 9 wins, which is a great season. That would almost get you in the playoff. Maybe it'll get you in the ACC championship. So that's why I have the SMU there. What was one of your easier schedules, Josh?
Well, I'm on the exact same time frame for you, or mindset as you. If there was ever a time for Virginia to get into the playoffs, now is the time.
I would agree.
They have a kick butt schedule. Saw that there. They start off with home against NC State. Okay, then they get a bye. So that was week 0. So they had to get a week 1 bye technically, and then they go play at home versus Norfolk, home versus West Virginia, home versus Delaware. I think those are great tune-up games, really good warm-up. Then they go play at Florida State, which last year they weren't very good. Home versus Syracuse, at SMU. That right there, I would say, is probably their hardest game. Besides, that's it. At SMU. All right. Then they get home against Duke, who just lost their quarterback. At Wake Forest, another bye. And then they get finished strong against home Cal, home against North Carolina, and then at Virginia Tech. So that last game could be a backbreaker, or it could be an absolute just hallelujah moment for them. And I think this is the time for them to get into the ACC championship and go get a playoff spot.
Yeah. I agree. You snuck in there. I had them as I think they had the number one schedule. That's what I had as one of my number one. I did rank them. They're pretty close. I would agree with you. Their only game that they should be looking at pretty much the whole season is at SMU.
Oh, yeah.
I think if they beat SMU, they're pretty. Now, if they don't do Virginia things and drop some random game in the middle of the season, I think they're pretty in ACC championship contention. The problem is that game's at SMU. But honestly, if that's the only thing you're worried about,
Oh, you're sitting pretty.
Exactly. And your second hardest game is at Virginia Tech. Like, not super easy, but
Who knows?
honestly, they're a very wild card team. They could be, downtrodden by the end of the season.
Hey, if you're favored against James Franklin, you're gonna win. All good.
Yeah, I'd be happy with Virginia's schedule. I agree.
I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna go, ooh, this is kind of what I'm searching for. Gift from the gods.
Yeah, this is good. I think that would be good. I'd be a Virginia fan.
I'd be.
But another schedule I think has been a gift is California has a pretty easy draw. I would say their hardest problem here is they play Clemson and SMU. And to be quite honest, that's pretty good because Notre Dame plays a lot of these ACC teams.
Mm-hmm.
Cal is not one of them. And a lot of these ACC teams play Miami. And Cal is not one of them. So not only are your biggest games against Clemson and SMU, you still get Clemson at home. So that is absolutely massive.
True.
Your hardest game is shaping up to be at SMU in Week 8. And honestly, if they win that game, I guess they do have a game at Virginia as well. Those, probably the more challenging things on their schedule. But for the most part, they hit a lot of the bottom of the ACC. And I think Cal's going to be able to do good things this year. They've kind of been on an uptrend recently. They've been doing pretty well until they get their quarterback poached. So I would believe this year if I were a Cal fan. So they start Week 1. Home against UCLA. That's their Power 4 game.
That's not terrible.
It's not terrible.
Not the greatest.
Luckily, they're both on the West Coast. They probably do that, intentionally.
Probably smart.
That's really nice. You get at Syracuse. Syracuse
Fine.
not looking really good. Wagner, never heard of it. Probably not very good. And then you get Clemson at home.
Ooh.
And, I feel like Clemson's still a top 3 ACC team.
I gotta hope.
Luckily, you get them at home, and as a West Coast team, getting games at home is really massive, especially in these big nationwide conferences. So I think you have a good edge there. You're at UNLV, should be able to beat them, although don't sleep on them too much. And then you get Virginia Tech at home, so one of your maybe harder teams.
I think that's going to be a little bit of a harder
You get
team.
them at home, which is nice. I mean, Virginia's going across the country to play you in California, so
True.
I think that's pretty nice. Wake Forest at home, same deal, and Wake Forest not very good. Then you have these. Technically, you have 3 away games in a row, but you have a bye in there. So you're at SMU, at NC State, bye at Virginia. So if they can just lock in for 4 weeks in the late October, early November, they'll be sitting pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Although, if they kind of lose focus here and maybe drop a game to SMU and Virginia, then,
Yeah, I'd be concerned about that Virginia game traveling all the way over there.
Yeah. But luckily,
that's after a bye.
It's true. Luckily, it is right after a bye. So you
That's
get the whole
nice.
bye to
That's
rest
nice.
up and then travel over there. You finish your season with Stanford at home and Pitt at home. Maybe Pitt gives you a little bit of a fit. But then, I think very manageable schedule.
That was bad.
What? Pitt can give you a fit? I didn't even think of that beforehand. That was pretty good, huh?
I didn't like it.
Really?
No.
Well, what I do like is being a Cal fan. And I know Cal's not very good, but I
Cal
think
has
they have
not been the greatest
really
recently.
solid shot at 6 wins here. Probably even 7, and you're probably going to a bowl game. I don't know if they've been going to bowl games recently. I don't think so.
Sure.
So I think this would be a win in their book. They're trending in the right direction, so that's good for them. That's why they're one of my easier ACC schedules.
Well, if we're going to move on to one of mine then, if there's going to be a dark horse in the ACC, a little bit of more of a ruin your day kind of team, that's Pitt right now.
Wow.
Yeah, because I say that because Pitt misses Clemson, but they do get Miami, and that's why I think they're going to be more of a ruin your night kind of thing. Because I don't think they'll get in it, but they got a pretty good schedule. They're pretty good. They can ruffle some feathers. So we're going to start off with home against Miami, home against UCF, home versus Syracuse, home versus Bucknell.
Wow.
Pretty good. I'm happy with that. Then they kind of start with at Virginia Tech. Again, Virginia Tech is meh, for all we know. Home versus North Carolina, at Boston College, and then they go at Miami, home versus Georgia Tech. Those 2 games, Miami and Georgia Tech, could be a struggle. Haynes King's not on Georgia Tech anymore. but that could be a little bit of a struggle. Then they get a bye, which is great because then they get home versus Florida State, which could be a harder game for them, at Louisville, at California. I'm going to be honest, I only see one loss on there with Miami at the moment. And for all we know, Miami has dropped games before at Louisville last year.
Yeah, maybe the whole point of the ACC is be the game that Miami drops to.
Exactly. And
Could
I
be.
think Pitt, with this schedule, they don't exactly tag any harder teams besides Miami that are like top tier, top notch. They don't get SMU. They don't get Clemson. I'm happy. I'm happy as a Pitt fan. Pitt's always been a little bit above average, so maybe they can make a run.
All right. I would agree with you, but speaking of Miami, I have one of my last ACC schedules, I think, that will be pretty easy. So it's not the schedule maker's fault, but Miami has a really easy ACC schedule this year. The big thing that's making it not so easy is they do get Notre Dame. And so the crux of this Miami schedule is they are at Clemson, they are at Notre Dame. Those are maybe difficult games. You can never discount playing at Clemson, and this year you can't discount playing at Notre Dame. But at the end of the day, Miami is sitting at the top of the ACC, and I would put decent money. I mean, I think if they came out with ACC championship odds right now, I think Miami would be pretty close to minus money. Mm-hmm. It would be really close, especially since Notre Dame's not in this conference. So I think Miami did great last year. I think, while they're regressing a little bit, maybe losing some players, I think Miami has a great shot to be good again this year. So, like I said earlier, let's start at the top. We have at Stanford, pretty much. If you're Miami, not really worried about that game. You get Florida A&M at home. You get at Wake Forest, and then you get Central Michigan at home. At this point, I think
I assume you're 4-0.
Pretty much sleepwalking through here. You're 4-0, and that's good because you're preparing for Week 5. You're going to Clemson. We know Clemson isn't as good as they used to be. We know in the last few years they've gone from zero losses to 1 loss to 2 losses to 4 losses to 6 losses.
6 losses,
I believe. So they're slowing down, but at the end of the day, they're one of the better ACC teams. Dabo Swinney's still their coach. You're still going to Clemson, and that's going to be a more solid atmosphere, especially since it's at the beginning of the season. Maybe near the end of the season, they might be fed up with Dabo. They might be fed up with Clemson. Maybe the fans aren't showing up. But especially getting that game in the beginning of the season, that might be a little bit harder. But then you get a bye, and then you get Florida State at home, and maybe one of your harder games, Pitt at home, although Miami kind of really handled Pitt last year. And then you have your 2 away games, one not so hard at North Carolina, and one quite a bit harder at Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. So there's still a lot to be said about this Notre Dame game, this rematch. I have really no strong opinion on who's going to win this. I think Notre Dame is a really solid team, and I think Miami's traveling there, so I think it's pretty likely they drop this game. But that's okay because they finish out the season home against Duke, home against Virginia Tech, home against Boston College. So even those harder games, you generally get them at home except Clemson. And as far as this goes, Notre Dame isn't an ACC game. So at the very most, I think you might drop one ACC game to Clemson, maybe, Pitt, maybe, Tech, maybe, but I think it's really unlikely. And if I had to guess, I think Miami's having about 10 wins, easily 11.
I would be concerned with Virginia Tech second last week. Because I think if Virginia Tech is playing well, this could be the James Franklin break through the barrier of winning as an underdog.
Just needed a change of scenery.
Needed the change of scenery. That could be the stage.
I think
set for it.
I think you're onto something.
I think he could do it.
I think you could. I think that's why it's really helpful that game's at home. If it were at Virginia Tech, I would be much more worried. Maybe Miami wouldn't even be one of my easier schedules because I'm afraid of the talent roster that they have, that they brought from Penn State. They have good coaching, in my opinion. But I think having that game at home is going to help a lot. And this is 3 home games in a row.
That's fine.
So
no travel.
I think that'll be helpful. So those were my easier ACC schedules. I don't know if you had any more.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
We move on
to the harder ACC schedules. Why don't you...
I can start.
You go ahead.
Start with the first one.
Boston College?
Well, I was gonna say that for last.
Oh, okay. Sure.
You
didn't hear anything, podcast group.
No, I'm going to start with Virginia Tech. And I think with James Franklin, this is not a great inauguration into the ACC. They start off with VMI at home, Old Dominion at home, at Maryland, at Boston College. Great.
Maryland's sometimes good.
Can be.
But
I'm not concerned.
Yeah.
Not concerned.
At Maryland, but you're right. Probably not too concerned.
Home versus Pitt. I think Pitt can be a first tester. That can be a little bit of could be a shaky game for them. At California, you got to travel all the way there. That's not ideal. That's 7 games in a row going to California. That's not good. Home versus Georgia Tech, and then at Clemson. That's so many games in a row, and you're ending with Clemson. That's tough. That's a tough stretch. Then you get a bye, and then you tag SMU at SMU. Not great. Home versus Stanford, fine. At Miami, ouch. And then home versus Virginia to end it. That's a gauntlet of the last 4 games with a nice little break of Stanford. But that's tough. It's not something that I would like to be James Franklin in this situation, even though I do predict them to win pretty well. I would not want to be in this situation regardless.
I'd agree. They got a lot more difficult schedule. You know, some people like Bill Belichick in their first year get really easy schedule.
And still flop.
And then some people are like James Franklin and they get a pretty tough draw in the ACC. One of the schedules for one of the people I think are going to have a difficult time this year is Syracuse. Now, it's unfortunate. Syracuse is probably not going to be very good, but their schedule is not doing them any favors. They have their bye early in the year in week 4, so they get 9 conference games to round it out, or 8 conference games after UConn. So after their really hard stretch here starts in week 6. You play in week 5, you're at UConn, and then in week 6 you're at Virginia. Then you get Louisville at home, and then you get an entire game breather at North Carolina, and then you have SMU and Clemson.
Sure.
At least you have them at home. That's why they're my number 3. But then you go at NC State, at Boston College, and then you have Notre Dame at home. So I think the upsides of the schedule, why it's only 3rd, is that a lot of these bigger games you have at home. You have Louisville, SMU, Clemson, and Notre Dame. But those are 4 home. If they take care of business at home, I think they could do well. So their away games aren't that hard. Their home games are pretty hard. They still have Virginia away. I think they have the top 5 teams in the ACC, except take out Miami and add Notre Dame.
Yeah.
So
they tagged everybody.
Yeah, and those I'm referring to Notre Dame, Clemson, SMU, Virginia, Louisville, and then I think also Pitt might be next up. Them or Georgia Tech.
Georgia Tech.
Luckily, they don't play Georgia Tech, but they do play Pitt. So I think they just hit the harder parts of this ACC schedule, and they
hit the top tiers, and that qualifies.
Yeah, it's all coming after the bye too. They do play Pitt away actually before their bye.
That's an early bye.
Yeah, I agree. They are at Pitt before the bye, which is kind of a tester before the bye, but then after the bye it just gets worse.
9 games in a row. That November slate's they're gonna drop a game or 2 there that they just should not have.
Yeah.
One game specifically.
Yeah. I think a lot of these teams that are not so good and the schedule doesn't do them favors, I would guess they get like 4 wins.
Yeah.
I think a team like this with this schedule should be pretty ecstatic with a bowl game. That is all I will say. On to you.
Okay, I want to talk about Boston College.
Oh, go ahead.
If I'm a Boston College fan, I am not happy with these schedule makers. This is terrible. They start off with at Cincinnati, fine. Home versus Rutgers, home versus Maine. Home versus Virginia Tech. This is where we start getting difficult a little bit. At SMU, and then get a bye. Home versus Pitt, at Georgia Tech, at Duke. Home versus Florida State, at Notre Dame. Home versus Syracuse, at Miami. I don't see a bottom feeder team on that list besides Maine and Rutgers. And those were the week 2 and 3. I mean, they tagged Florida State, Notre Dame, Miami, Pitt, Virginia Tech, SMU. You took the top halves. And speaking of which, you still got to play. That ending is just terrible. It's not like Duke is going to be a slouch. They were in the ACC championship last year.
They won the ACC championship.
They won!
Actually. They lost their quarterback.
I just do not want to be a Boston College person at this moment.
I think it's really difficult, and I think you're kind of brushing off this at UC right here at the very beginning. They're not only playing Cincinnati, they're at Cincinnati. What would you guess the opening line on Cincinnati, Boston College at Cincinnati would be?
Oh.
Because I bet it would be Cincinnati minus 6.5.
Oh, I'll take the under.
You think it would be less than that?
Yeah.
Oh, you'll think they'll be favored by less, or Boston College will be favored?
No, I just think Cincinnati will be favored by less than 6.5.
Oh, I'll take that right now. Hear that, UC fan? I think Cincinnati will be favored by at least 6.5 points against Boston
Not a
College.
shot.
They're not that good. Boston
Neither is
College
UC.
not that good. Yeah, neither are they. But I think they're going to be a touchdown favorite. I mean, especially at home to start the season.
Yeah.
My point is, I
I'm
think
gonna
that's
be a known UC hater.
I think you might be. I think that's a more difficult game. They could start 0-1, and then they have 2 games they should hopefully pick up.
They should
Rutgers
win
and
that.
Maine.
But
And
then
then
Virginia Tech, ouch.
It's all bad.
SMU ranked last year, ouch. Bye. Pitt, no slouch. They're in the top half of the ACC, ouch. At Georgia Tech, they were ranked last year too,
Yeah.
ouch. At Duke, ouch.
Defending ACC champ.
Florida State has a history of winning. They beat Alabama last year. I understand they were a little bit floppy.
Not a very recent history.
Not very
I
recent
think-
history.
Yeah.
But I do think that they do have the power to put together a good, strong season. I wouldn't count them out. They're not a guaranteed win. At Notre Dame, count that up a 60-point loss.
I think they kind of have a shot against Syracuse.
Oh, sure.
But that's only if they have their head in the game at this point. They may be so beaten and battered. They might be, you know what they probably are doing week 12 when they could maybe beat Syracuse? They're like, oh my gosh, we just got ourselves rocked by playing at Notre Dame, and next week we're going to get rocked by playing at Miami. And
Maybe
you know
they go
what?
hard that one game.
Maybe that's their mentality. Maybe
Let's
they're
win
like,
Syracuse.
we're not winning in South Bend. We're not winning in Miami. Let's beat Syracuse
Let's
at home.
beat Syracuse.
I hope they can adopt that mentality because I agree.
I'd love to watch it.
That one's looking
I'll
really
watch it.
rough. All right. One of my other ACC teams that I think have a good schedule draw, or a difficult schedule draw. Stanford, another team, a little bit unfortunate in the schedule draw, especially since they're not looking so good. They start out against Hawaii in week 1, so that'll be nice and flowery. They're not at Hawaii, though. They get Hawaii at home. Luckily, it's a home game. Too bad they don't get to go to Hawaii. But maybe it's a good thing because week 2, they get Miami.
Ouch.
So just already after week 2, you're probably hopefully 1-1, maybe 0-2. Certainly not 2-0. I would be shocked if Stanford's 2-0 at this point. The only thing good about their game with Hawaii is that it's in week 0, so they get a bye here. But then after that, they get at Duke, Georgia Tech at home, at Wake Forest, at Notre Dame. At Wake Forest is a break. The rest is pretty difficult. They get breaks against Elon and NC State, and then they're right back at it. They're at Louisville, luckily a bye.
Nice.
At Virginia Tech, at Cal, SMU at home. So
Good.
if I were SMU or if I were Stanford, I would be a little bit sad looking at this schedule. So at least they get Elon and NC State in the middle of the season, but they just have multiple stretches.
What the heck is Elon?
I mean, let's. I don't know what Elon is. I see them all the time. I feel like
What?
Elon. I feel like I've seen a few Elons on other people's schedule. Like in the past, it's kind of a meme.
Never.
Kind of like rice is a meme. Food.
food.
Yeah.
Never lose the food.
Yeah, but I mean, just to recap the difficulty of the schedule, you get Miami, you get Notre Dame, you get SMU, you don't get Clemson, yay, but you still get
Nice,
Louisville, you still get
nice.
Georgia Tech. You just got the harder people on this schedule, and for a team like Stanford, I'm seeing another 4 wins most likely.
Yeah.
Praising the Lord if you get to a bowl game, and I hope they do. Because I'm trying to be nice here.
That's all I really wanted to talk about unless you got another one.
I do have one more.
Okay.
I have the last one.
Go for it.
It's kind of poetic in a way.
Got it.
One of my easiest schedules here. I'm actually
Easiest.
going to restart this hook. And yes, it's not the easiest. Podcast people get all the behind the scenes today.
I'm trying to do better.
North Carolina may have had an easy cakewalk last year that they did not take advantage of whatsoever.
No.
And some people, maybe even me included, thought maybe the NFL experience of Bill Belichick is going to turn around in week 2. But after seeing the schedule, I think North Carolina is in big trouble. They start with TCU, and quite frankly, I think they're dropping this game right off the bat. It's at a neutral site. I think they're losing. I think TCU is a good team. I think North Carolina's not that good. The schedule's not doing them favors there. Then they get a bye. Then they get ETSU. Very nice. I don't know what ETSU is. They'll probably win.
ETSU.
Then they get at Clemson. Once again, probably one of the first games that Clemson's playing in conference. Probably still a packed stadium.
Probably.
And you're playing at Clemson. That's going to be difficult. Then you get your second bye. The good news, you get 2 byes because you played week 0 against, TCU at a neutral site. The bad news is your second bye is already done in week 4. Oof. So, you're still ending the season with 8 games. And these 8 games are doing no favors. You get Notre Dame right away.
Ouch.
Looks like a loss. You get at Pitt, at Duke. Neither
Ouch.
are slouches. Both are away. Then you get Syracuse at home. The fabled
There you
Syracuse at
go.
home. Good for Syracuse giving people breaks in their schedules.
There you go.
Much needed because then you play Miami.
Ouch.
And then you play at UConn. Maybe a little bit of recovery there. Right before you play Louisville and at Virginia.
Ooh,
2 more ACC championship contenders. You end your season. If you have any fight left, you can take on NC State at home.
Take on the Wolfpack.
The point of this is
Come on.
You're getting the Notre Dame Miami combo
Fighting for
plus
a bowl game.
Clemson, Louisville, and Virginia. Oh my gosh! I said the other teams were ecstatic to be at a bowl game. I would bet a lot of money they do not make it to a bowl game.
What would be their win total that you would over under win total?
They're over under. Honestly,
Is it out there? No, it's not.
legitimately, I would say it's either 3.5 or 4.5. And if it's 4.5, I'm doing the under. Because getting 4 wins means you're beating ETSU.
Okay.
You're beating
Syracuse.
You're beating UConn, and you're beating NC State. None of those games are remotely near the same time, and I think it's pretty possible. But all those other games, I don't see them winning. Like, quite honestly,
No, they won't.
if I get good odds. By the way, if the line's at 4.5, it's probably decent odds on the under, and I can take the under. And all I have to hope is that Duke doesn't drop a game to them. TCU takes care of business at a neutral site. Honestly,
You don't have faith in Mr. Bill?
not really, especially after seeing the schedule. I just remember how easy their schedule were last year, and I just can't see a way that they pull it together.
The greatest coach of all time?
I don't even know if he's the greatest coach of all time.
I don't think he is.
I would have to say Nick Saban if we're just doing all coaches because they kind of mix. I know
They do kind of mix.
I would have to say Saban. I don't know how you wouldn't. Bill Belichick has accomplished quite literally nothing at the collegiate level.
True.
I might have coached Carolina to a similar record, whatever it was. I don't remember what it was. It was bad. So
Okay.
maybe that was all the build-up. I don't know. That concludes our ACC schedule reaction. Let us know what you think. Let us know if you think that we got it right, if there's a team we missed. We didn't talk about some notable teams like Georgia Tech. We didn't talk about Duke. We didn't talk about... we talked about a lot. NC State. Maybe you didn't. I don't remember. Yeah. Some of those teams right in the middle. Moving on, though. We have new segment here. Heisman odds are out, and we have not talked about them very much.
No, we haven't.
And-
We've stayed away. But now, it's time.
And we're not so much talking about the odds. We're just talking about the people at the top. Because right when they came out, I looked at some of these names, and I'm like, I don't know these people very well. So the goal of this today is talk a little about who they are, maybe if we think are a little bit overrated where they are, maybe a little bit underrated. And the ranking is not generated by us. It's pretty much exclusively generated
Just by Sportsbook.
by Vegas themselves. And
Yeah.
who knows better than Vegas?
Who knows better than Vegas? I always lose to Vegas. Well, not really, but
Exactly.
occasionally.
I'm pretty good against Vegas.
Are you?
Yeah. Allegedly. Let's hop into it.
All right. We got number 10. Or do you have any honorable mentions before
I
we
don't.
go?
Do you have any?
No, I didn't. I
didn't
just
do
said
any.
skip. I don't care for anybody
Top 10.
outside top 10.
Yeah. It was a pretty big drop off in odds from 10 to the rest of them. And so I'll start with number 10.
Okay, go for it.
Sam Levitt, number 10 in the Heisman odds this year. What do we expect out of him? He's going to LSU. He was at Michigan State. Then he went to Arizona State. Now he's at LSU. His season was cut short last year. I believe he ended with 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. And yet he was one of the most coveted people in the transfer portal. At number 10, maybe he's a little bit underrated. Maybe he's a little overrated. Honestly, I think he's pretty properly rated at number 10. He totally has a shot to win the Heisman this year if LSU does well. That is a big if. But
Big if.
LSU has all the tools. They have all the funding. I think they have the coach. I think there's nothing stopping them from running kind of a gauntlet in the SEC, doing well. In 2025, 2024, he had about 3,000 yards and 26 touchdowns. And that's kind of the stats we're seeing out of Heisman's today. So I think he totally has a shot at doing well.
If I'm to stay consistent,
Oh, yeah. By all means, go ahead.
I
What were you
don't
gonna
think
say?
Sam Levitt's got a shot.
Really?
No. Unless, okay, he's got a shot. He's got to become Superman in order to do this.
We have to remember LSU is a pretty good defensive team.
He's got to become Superman. I don't think they've had the offensive playmakers that they used to have back in the heyday of LSU. So in order for them to, make some ground, score points to win games, you got to be able to score points. He's going to have to become Superman here and there, and I don't think he's got that in him. The only way they were able to get close to a playoff game last time was because Cam Scattaboo decided to be quarterback and throw for a touchdown in the playoff game. So I don't know if Sam Levitt's got the guts and the glory to be him.
I think that I don't see why not. I think the biggest thing here is Lane Kiffin is pretty much guaranteeing you a top 10 offense. And at the very least, LSU as a school produced a Heisman somewhat recently in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these other schools never have, or it's been at least a decade or two. That was, 7 years ago.
It's still quite a bit
But
of time.
that's still, how many Heisman? That means there's 7 Heisman schools away. There's only 7 schools that have done it since then. You could argue they have a way better shot than like Ohio State, who hasn't had a Heisman in
Years.
quite a while. So
That's true. That's true.
that would kind of be my argument. And I'm not saying he's like top 5. I'm saying he's like 10.
number 10.
I think that's pretty properly.
He's
rated.
number 10.
So
I think his odds are a little low.
okay.
But I'd probably put his odds higher. But that's just me.
Well, all the odds are low because
It's Vegas.
they got to make money here.
It's Vegas.
Go ahead.
All right. We got number 9. Got Gunnar Stockton, Georgia quarterback. Now, this is I think this is kind of a little bit undervalued. I think he should be a little bit higher. Every Georgia player is pretty consistent, I would say. Georgia's done a great job in recruiting elite talent. And I would say Gunnar Stockton's up there. He was very efficient last year. 2,894 yards, 24 tutties, 5 interceptions. That's not terrible. That's actually very good for the stat lines that we're seeing. He's very good with the ball. He doesn't throw the ball away. I can't be mad. But Georgia really doesn't really have QB wins Heisman's either. So there's a reason why he's 9th and not higher on the list.
Yeah, I think another thing that you might have missed here is I think he had 10 rushing touchdowns last year as well, which is just adding to that total, really helpful. I would agree with you.
Money.
I think Gunnar Stockton is kind of a steal. If I wouldn't place money on any of these because they're just not a really good expected value, and it's February, and you'd be locking your money up for almost 10 months, and it just put it in the stock market. But I think Gunnar Stockton is a pretty good shot. He's great dual threat. I think Georgia's been consistently the best team in the SEC for quite a long time now. I don't think anyone else has been consistently good other than them, except maybe kind of Texas, and they beat Texas every year. So
yeah, Texas would be the only person that comes to mind.
I would say that Gunnar Stockton a little bit undervalued here at number 9. I would agree.
So true. So true.
Number 8. I have Darian Mensah is number 8 in the Heisman voting odds. And I think that is too high.
Yes.
I think Duke has been doing well with him. I think he absolutely carried Duke. I think if he repeated his stats from his year at Duke, he would be the Heisman. That was 3,973 yards, 34 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. I'm not arguing those aren't great stats.
Wow.
But I think of the manner that he left, the manner that he was kind of poached into the ACC.
True.
Within the ACC to Miami, I think just the way that Miami plays, you look at what Carson Beck did. He was kind of a game manager. Sometimes he kind of ruined games for them. Maybe he can elevate their offense to not just solely rely on the defense, but I think they're still going to lean on their defense, and I just don't think that's the way that you cultivate someone who wins a Heisman. No, and I don't think college football is about winning the Heisman. So if that's what Miami does to win, I think it's a great way to win. But he was from Tulane, then he went to Duke. Now he's at Miami. He's plus 1,500, 8th according to sportsbooks. But I just don't see a situation where he really lights it up at Miami. And if he does as well as he did at Duke, I think he would be right up there in the voting. But I just don't see that happening at Miami. I don't think they're that kind of team.
I would agree with that. With Miami's schedule as well, kind of with the Heisman, you need a superhero moment. I don't think he's ever going to find said superhero moment, maybe from Notre Dame if they're in it, you know?
I agree.
And I don't think they're going to rely on Darian Mensah to become that said superhero. They're going to rely on their defense that they prided themselves so well last year. And they're going to try to see if they can bring back that flavor of gameplay from them. And I think that just is not a recipe for success, kind of just like the way last year's Julian Sayin occurred. We just defense, less plays.
I agree.
You don't win Heisman's that way.
Yep.
You can't increase the stat book.
I agree.
So then we got number 7, Dante Moore. Oh my gosh, this is underrated. How is he at plus 1,300 and how is he 7th?
I don't understand.
I don't think that is right. I'm not saying to bet it. I don't think that is right. He returned to school for when he probably would have gone he was number 2 quarterback in the draft. I mean, he probably would have been drafted top 5. How are you not putting this guy so much higher on a list when he's got elite talent surrounding him? This is now his 2nd year into the program, and we all know how I like 2nd-year quarterbacks. He's gonna thrive.
I would agree. What's especially helpful is you're on a team that's uptrending.
Oh my
It's not like you're on a
gosh.
superstar on a team that's losing a lot of guys, and they're really trying to rebuild, and they're not really quite in contention. They're a team that Oregon could win every game this year.
Sure.
Oregon has been uptrending. Oregon's been getting farther in the playoffs every year. They're bringing back a lot of guys. I agree. He is so underrated here at 7th. I think he could totally be at least in New York and very easily competing for the trophy.
The one thing I always like to say, and I believe in this, you got to have a superhero game to be in a Heisman, to be a reason you win. Mm-hmm. And with Oregon's schedule, I think when we went over it, they did have Ohio State. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying that that's going to be the game, but of all teams to do it against.
Yeah, they have opportunities.
They have the teams. You're playing in the Big Ten, you're right. Mm-hmm. It's harder for an ACC or a Big 12 team or a quarterback to kind of find that big defining game because the conference is generally weaker.
Yeah.
It's easier for an SEC, for a Big Ten team, for a Big Ten quarterback to find that moment, to really shine, give that time in the game or a season where you go, that's where he became the Heisman, right there. And last year for Mendoza, it was against Penn State. It was phenomenal. It was a masterclass. So I think that definitely bodes well for him.
All right, number 6. Julian Sayin is 6th in Heisman odds right now. He's tied with 5th with Jeremiah Smith. Here's the thing about Julian Sayin, though. I think he's kind of underrated, too.
Yes.
At Ohio State, he had 3,610 yards, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a lot of those at the very, very end of the season. He had a 77% completion rate.
Woo!
And that's something we don't talk about. He has all year, he had one of the highest completion rates out of any quarterback. He was a co-favorite last year before kind of a rough finish of teams. So I think he's extremely accurate. He's playing at Ohio State. Here's the good thing about Ohio State. You have plenty of times to test yourself.
Yeah, here we go.
They are playing a ton of really difficult competition. It's not going to be like last year where we're going to be, limiting drives and really just blowing them out in the first half and then benching everyone all the time. I think these are going to be a lot of competitive games, plenty of time to be maybe behind and throwing more, plenty of time to be having your Heisman moments. I think if there were a time for Julian Sayin to do well, it is this year. It is his 2nd year. He has to stay at Ohio State. He still has a ton of weapons around him, especially Jeremiah Smith. I think for that reason, he's an underrated quarterback here at 6th.
I am a little concerned. Arthur Smith being the offensive coordinator.
I didn't even think about that. This is true.
Because he loves running the ball, which I think Ohio State needs to kind of get back to it.
Okay. Yeah.
We have been quite the run and gun, slinging West Coast offense. And
well, we are wide receiver U.
We are wide receiver U. I get it. We are Big Ten, though, as well.
This is true.
We got to be able to control the trenches, run the ball a little bit. and this is more of a Ohio State tangent now that we kind of went off of it, but they got to be able to find and run the ball.
The next two players are Ohio State.
They are.
So, yeah.
And we'll get back to that. Jeremiah Smith at number 5, again at plus 1,300. This is severely overrated.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've written down. By the way, we don't compare notes. I think he's overrated. I think it's mostly because of his position.
Oh, my gosh.
Now that you bring it up, Arthur Smith makes a lot of sense.
Isn't that a problem?
It makes that's a problem. It would make a lot of sense to say he would be good. He had 1,300 yards, 15 touchdowns, 1,200 yards, 12 touchdowns these last 2 years. Really, really good stats. Really big moments. But he's got to break like 18 touchdowns, maybe 1,600 yards to even be in contention.
1,700 if he wants to have a shot.
Yeah, the quarterback bias is too much. They might as well make this a quarterback award. He is the only non-quarterback in the top 10, and it's just so obvious
ridiculous.
that you just can't have a quarterback win.
No, you can't.
Especially when your quarterback is already tied with you in Heisman odds. Anything that he does well is also going to be contributed to his quarterback. I think there's very, very, very low odds he would win a Heisman.
So true. But hey, that's just how it is. Devontae Smith did it. So, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's just not what the Heisman is not what it used to be. Yeah. And we should all be able to acknowledge that.
Especially with these quarterbacks coming back
it's just
all the time, and they're just a no name, and it's hard to break through.
Just how it is.
Speaking of quarterbacks, well, they're all quarterbacks.
These are all quarterbacks.
Number 4 Heisman odds goes to Josh Hoover, which is Indiana's quarterback from TCU.
Transfer.
When I first saw this name a long time ago, I heard about them, that this is the quarterback they're picking up, and I'm like, well, congrats for that guy. He's about to have a great season. Under almost every circumstance, I would say that he's overrated. But the only reason I'm not is because this is Indiana. And you know what Indiana does now? They produce Heisman-winning quarterbacks. They poach quarterbacks, and those quarterbacks do great. In 2025, he's not bad. He had 3,400 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 13 interceptions. So hopefully those interceptions clean up in Indiana's system. But at the end of the day, you're going into Kurt Cignetti's Indiana. They produce Heisman-winning quarterbacks at this point. It's undeniable. It has to be said. I think he's pretty properly rated at 4th. I don't know if I'd really put him higher, but 4th gives me no issue.
Yeah, he cleans up the interceptions there a little bit. Decides, same stat line, 5 interceptions. You get Indiana. You're going to be one loss. All of a sudden, we're talking about Indiana having one loss like it's normal. There you go. He's going to be a Heisman right there.
I agree.
It's not even going to be close. And then there you go. Indiana is now all of a sudden every portal transfer. Glorious spot to be.
It's their dream.
Then we got number 3. Arch Manning. Let's go.
Overrated.
Come on. I think he's perfect.
And why is that? I would love to know.
Why? Because he's a second-year quarterback at one of the freaking greatest places ever to be a college fan, player in general. They got the resources. They got the talent. You got your second-year quarterback. Here we go. I got to stay consistent.
Yeah, I think all they have is the overblown media. I think they're looking at Arch Manning. His last name is Manning. I think they're looking at Texas and thinking Texas is good, even though Texas isn't that good. Although some people have got it in their head that Texas is good, and every year they're like dominating the SEC when they're clearly not. I would not have him at 3. I would have him much lower than 3. I think he has very little odds. I haven't think about it that far. I think higher than wherever Jeremiah Smith would be, but
why?
Because
it's first off, quarterback
he's a quarterback,
award.
so last year better than Jeremiah Smith.
Last year,
I said he would be higher than Jeremiah Smith, wherever he should be.
But if we look at it also from Josh Hoover's standpoint, right?
Yeah, of course.
He only put up, so Josh Hoover put up 3,400 yards, right?
Yeah.
Arch put up 3,100 yards in the SEC.
Yeah, because they were losing.
Which is a harder competition.
They were losing every game somehow.
And TCU was much better.
No.
They were also losing.
Yeah, okay. That's why. But
so
why do you have 300 more yards? Oh, okay.
And TCU plays lesser competition. Let's call it as it is, right?
Yeah.
He threw less interceptions than Josh Hoover. He probably has better talent than he does. In the same system. Now, I'm not saying Indiana's system is superior or not superior to Texas, but having continuity does help.
But you also have to think about
if you're gonna drop Arch, then you gotta drop TCU Josh Hoover.
I don't think so.
You can't.
Because who is he throwing to at TCU? Who's he throwing to?
I don't know.
You know who Arch Manning's throwing to?
Also don't know.
Dude, crazy guys. We're too far removed from the season. That was way last year. But their wide receivers were much better than the guys at Texas Christian University.
And the defense was lesser too.
Okay.
So?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, Texas got to be out there playing Georgia. DBs.
This is true.
TCU's playing who?
And how did Arch do in a lot of those big games?
I'm not saying
Not
he
so
struggled.
well. You know the media would have eaten up any moment to
I'm
have a
just
Heisman
saying.
moment for Arch Manning. And
I would hate to be an
how-
18-year-old with all that pressure too.
I think the
It's
only
just how it
clips
goes.
they ever got
19.
were him running the ball in at some point. I think that was the most hype
I
clip they were able
understand.
to farm for him and say, "Oh, this is his Heisman moment." When
If I was 19 with all that pressure too, I would kind of struggle.
yeah,
I
okay,
get it.
I agree. That's working against him
And
too.
and there's not that much media attention this year.
You're just giving me
I'm a big fan.
reasons that he shouldn't be up there as well.
I would say Arch Manning's going to finish higher than Hoover.
We'll see about that. Well, you should make it a bold prediction sometime.
I will.
But for now, we move on.
I'll just skip the one I have here.
Right. Number 2, Heisman odds co-favorite with the number 1 is Trinidad Chambliss. Now, we'll just get it out of the way right now. The number 1 and 2 are CJ Carr and Trinidad Chambliss at
talk
plus
about them
800.
together.
Yes, they're both plus 800. They're co-favorites right now. This has been moving a lot over the last month.
Yes.
I've been kind of watching it. But I think Trinidad Chambliss should be the clear number 1.
Absolutely.
I don't see why he isn't. He was absolutely electric at Ole Miss. He was just 63 yards away from a 4,000-yard season, 22 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 8 rushing touchdowns on top of that. He previously played at Ferris State, where he was D2 national champion, and then they brought him in at Ole Miss. They're like, is this guy really going to be good? And you know what he did? He did great. You know when he did the best? In the playoffs, he absolutely lit it up. So you know he can prove it in big moments.
He's got them up.
That
He's
is
got it.
absolutely massive. That's so important to have as a
got the
Heisman.
stud.
He's going to have that Heisman moment. He's going to have great stats. He is going to be right up there in Heisman contention. Pretty
I
likely
would
going
put
to New
him in
York.
top 2 easily. As obviously it is, but even without this, he was going to be my pick if I were to make a pick for Heisman winner. It's got to be Trinidad. He had stats that, even though he didn't even play 4 games, that rivaled, that were better almost than all the other Heismans out there. Even Mendoza.
Yeah, I know.
It was insane.
He was a great player. The only thing standing in his way is they had this little, legal problems, which I think for the most part
It's figured out.
they got their temporary injunction, which is all you need. You
that was
just need
due with
the
what? That was government issues.
I don't remember.
Right?
I think you just
NCAA
get
issues.
you just get some lawyer to say, or you get some judge to say, we'll have to worry about it later, and then they put in a temporary injunction, and then you play the season, then you worry about it later, and then
Then you go, I'm going
you're
to the
played.
NFL.
Oh yeah, darn.
Yeah, I don't think that's not going to affect the locker room at all. I think his head's focused now. Here we go. Let's rock and roll. September's coming quick.
I would agree.
And then we got CJ's Carr,
Right.
which honestly, a little bit out of left field in my eyes. I didn't think he was that good. Apparently he is.
Yeah. Clip this.
Apparently.
I think CJ Carr is pretty properly rated, maybe a little bit overrated. I think the biggest problem here is he cannot get a Heisman moment with the schedule he's playing. He pretty much has to put all his eggs into playing Miami.
Miami,
And
baby.
if he dominates the rest of the season, if he loses to Miami, he's cooked. He cannot win it.
No, you can't.
But if he dominates every game and beats Miami and doesn't really do anything, he might still be cooked. He has to dominate the rest of the season, beat Miami, and have a Heisman moment to really be up there and winning the Heisman. And I'm not saying he's a bad quarterback.
No.
I think
No,
just the
he's not a bad
situation he's in, it's really good. You're at Notre Dame. You get that exposure. You get that, kind of media favorability. It's really bad. You got that Notre Dame schedule, which is like butter, and we'll
That's
probably talk about it at some point. We didn't today, but sometime we
that was
might
a
make that
misstep.
a one-off segment. We'll talk about Notre Dame schedule. You'll see what I'm saying. I'm sure if you followed college football, obviously you know it's kind of it's a joke.
Hey, if they're in the top 12, they're automatically in.
This is true. Good for them.
They can always get in the playoffs.
I mean, his stats were 24 touchdowns,
And
6
go 11-1 every time.
interceptions, 66.6% completion, 3 rushing touchdowns. It's not bad, but this is just not screaming like you're a Heisman to me. Even Arch has better stats, maybe.
Meh.
I'm not saying something.
Meh.
Great player,
Great player.
good situation
Great
being
team.
at Notre Dame, great team, bad schedule. I think that is going to hurt him more than people think. So,
Hey, that's our Heisman breakdown.
that wraps up our Heisman breakdown. Some fun facts I tried to find was Hoover. That Hoover guy I was talking about, he has a ton of experience. He does nearly 10,000 career passing yards.
Wow.
Other interesting stats were that, we talked about Sayin at 77% completion. That's really good.
He's really good.
Stockton finished 7th in Heisman voting last year. I didn't know that.
I think he could finish higher.
Gunnar Stockton, he's already 7th.
He's a Georgia quarterback.
You're playing at Georgia. You're coming back. I don't think Georgia's they're not losing crazy things.
No. They're fine.
Yeah, he is underrated. I'd agree. Jeremiah Smith, the only non-QB in the top 10. We knew that, and almost definitely not winning it. And Sam Levitt, putting a lot of faith in him at 10. I guess at LSU he might thrive, but he's already on his 3rd school. He didn't even play that much at Arizona State.
No, he didn't.
Because he got hurt. So now you know. Now we move on. Last segment of the day.
Bold takes, baby. Let's do it.
You want to go first for me?
I can go first this time.
All right.
Now, as we were talking about Heismans and everything, my bold take, Jeremiah Smith does not make New York for the Heisman, nor does he win the Biletnikoff again this year.
Wow. So he wins like nothing.
Nothing. And he will continue to be the greatest wide receiver almost in college football.
So 3 years in a row, they call him a crazy good NFL talent. They call, he plays well, honestly, both years.
Plays great.
And you don't think he's good. I guess, yeah. He's been close on the Heisman and then not winning.
You can win the Big Ten award.
Right.
And then continue to lose to a Big Ten wide receiver in the Biletnikoff, apparently.
I don't understand how that works.
So, yeah, that's my bold take.
As an Ohio State fan, I don't want to be too biased, but I think if you were looking at the slate, if you're an average fan, and let me know if you agree. If you're looking at the slate of guys or people, to win the Biletnikoff or to win the Heisman, I think Jeremiah Smith is up there. I think, obviously, if there are odds for the Biletnikoff right now, he's got to be way up there.
I think Cam Coleman's up there.
Cam Coleman's pretty good. He transferred
Auburn.
To Auburn?
No, from Auburn.
From Auburn, somewhere else where he can do better. I'm sure USC might throw a guy up there. Me thinking USC will have a good year.
One more.
But I'll continue. Jeremiah Smith is way up there, and
high odds?
He's 5th in Heisman odds, so he's not going to go to New York, so not be top 4 in Heisman. It's not that crazy to say, I don't think, especially since it's such a quarterback award. He actually kind of gets points being 2nd and 3rd because a lot of people like to think a lot of voters like to be like, oh, I don't think it's a quarterback award, but they'll still put their favorite quarterback first. And then to not look so bad, they put a non-quarterback after it.
The classic.
I feel like it happens a lot,
switch.
And that's how Jeremiah Love. I think he was an amazing player, and I think he could have very well been in Heisman, and everyone knew that. Maybe he should have been the Heisman, but they'll put their favorite.
That you can't say Ashton Genty should not.
I know, and so you know what they say? They say, you know what? I got to put my favorite quarterback first, like everyone else, but then I'll put Jeremiah Love. So I think that could happen for Jeremiah Smith as well. The Biletnikoff, though, I don't see how he doesn't go to bed every night and he's like, I gotta win the Biletnikoff. This is so stupid. Why am I not winning this thing? Especially with the hard schedule they have, I think he has opportunity.
All right, what you gonna rank it?
So we'll get to the ratings. I think this is unlikely. Now, this is an award.
He was up for the Biletnikoff both years.
Both years. This is his year, but maybe he's fading, but probably not. He's still pretty young.
Definitely not fading.
I'm going to give this another 4 for you.
Woo! Another above average.
Just a little. 3.5 is average. I think if there were odds out right now, I think it'd be pretty close to minus odds to win the Biletnikoff.
Oh, I'd say plus 100.
Plus 100?
He did.
That could also be called minus 100.
He hasn't won it yet.
But remember, this pick is that he doesn't go to New York and doesn't win the Biletnikoff.
Yep, I got a parlay.
Although the odds are he goes to, if he's top 4, he's probably winning the Biletnikoff. I don't see another wide receiver coming out of nowhere, or maybe a USC wide receiver will win it for some reason.
Nah.
All right, there you go. 4.
What's your bold take?
My bold take. I like staying on theme of the Heisman picks.
Okay.
My bold take here. Kevin Jennings, SMU's return quarterback, is top 10 in Heisman voting. So if you don't know how Heisman voting works, you vote for your top 3. So everyone with the Heisman vote votes for the top 3. If you vote them first, they get 3 points. If you vote them third, they get 1 point. You get the idea. But they still show who gets the top 10 most votes. I think Kevin Jennings will slip in there.
Okay.
Now, you think of this guy, you don't know who he is. He was SMU's quarterback.
Yeah.
Last year, he had 3,641 yards,
Yes.
26 touchdowns, 13 interceptions.
Yes.
So I'm sure those interceptions are the reason he's not up there. Right now, he's sitting about 25th in the Heisman odds.
Okay.
So he's a good ways away, but I think SMU has been consistently good. In 2024, they were 11-3. Last year, they regressed a little bit at 9-4. But I think they were kind of rebuilding, and they were keeping their quarterback.
Now they're back.
And I think they're back, and I think they're going to do great, especially after seeing their schedule.
Okay.
All they have to do is beat Virginia at home, and they are smooth sailing. They are looking like they could totally be back at the ACC championship with a shot to play Miami, maybe win it, maybe lose it. But I think, all you have to do is make it to the championship game as far as the Heisman's concerned.
Sure.
I think he can make some waves. I think at plus 8,000, 25th in the odds, I think Kevin Jennings can be top 10 in Heisman voting by the end of the season.
Top 10. So he's gonna have to jump up 15 people.
Yeah, an SMU quarterback.
SMU.
They dropped 3 games. It's pretty much out of the question, He's got to do pretty well.
SMU.
But he could also have 4,000 passing yards.
I'm concerned about those interceptions. I remember watching him in 2025 because they beat Clemson or just lost to Clemson on a field goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got into the playoffs. But then when I watched them play Penn State, that's how Penn State got to the semis because they played SMU and Boise.
Mm-hmm.
He looked like an absolute mess.
Yeah, and remember, he was their quarterback in their 2024 run when they made the playoffs.
Yep.
Remember,
Yep,
SMU made the playoffs. He had 3,200 yards in that year, 23 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. So interceptions kind of been his problem, 11 then 13. But all he has to do is clean him up a little bit. I think he'll be right there.
But I think that's how they lost the ACC championship as well that year, is he threw a pick to allow Clemson into field goal range.
I think so. But that was 2 years ago.
And then this year he had even more picks after that. After learning from it.
No, this is true.
I'm concerned about that. I would probably give it a 5.5. 5.5.
Okay.
I don't think that's very likely. I think SMU is going to struggle. Sure, they have the schedule, but then I'd also say that's also a recipe for not creating a Heisman moment. And I don't think he does not show up well in big games.
Now remember,
I've shown that.
I said top 10. So do you need a Heisman moment to?
I think you need Heisman.
I think you got to be remembered in Heisman moments to go to New York, especially to get number 1.
I think
I'm
got to
saying
be
top
remembered.
10. Okay.
Last year, I knew he existed, but I didn't see him show up anywhere.
Okay. I'm a little high on SMU.
They were 9-4, so I'm going to give that a 5.5. I don't think that's good. I think it's pretty crazy. I don't have the greatest of faith in Kevin Jennings.
I will take it.
There you go.
That wraps up our show for today. Please do like and subscribe and follow us on any podcast. I have now distributed it to.
You got it everywhere.
Everywhere. I'm the audio technician and got it on pretty much all the podcasts you can think of. If there's one I don't have it on, then you should let us know and Josh can add it.
If you would like to interact with us more, please follow us on X coming out here within the next 2 days.
Oh boy.
Day or two.
See us on X. We're going to be posting on X.
Posting on X every day. Interact with us. Talk with us. We can just chat normally. Don't have to do it on YouTube videos either. Just do it on X.
Wow. I would love to start posting on X.
I think it'd be fun.
Have to give me all the credentials. I can't wait. I'm going to put crazy Texas blasphemy out there.
And I will put LSU blasphemy out there.
At the end of the day, Texas, I really just think they have too much pressure to perform well.
LSU is so volatile when your governor is choosing your head coach. This is an issue.
Volatility is bad for maybe winning championships, but man, could they be a good team at times.
They can be fun to watch, I'm sure.
Oh, fun to watch, I'm sure.
Man,
Can't wait.
Garbage.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.